But look, we can get it up on the sidewalk, give this dude all the room in the world. Also, I would like to drive that. Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Larz Anderson Auto Museum in Brookline, Massachusetts, the McGovern Auto Group at Boston Motorsports in Brighton, Massachusetts, and AVI in Newton, Massachusetts, we're driving a 2021 Jeep Wrangler Sport 4x4 with a 2-liter turbo. But the best thing about this Jeep is that you could win it for $100. We're doing another raffle just like we did with the Fiat 500, and that means if you follow the link below to buy your raffle tickets, this could be yours. But today it's about the car. So first, the basics. It's got a 270 horsepower 4-cylinder 2-liter turbo with an 8-speed automatic transmission. And to make it more of a Jeep thing, AVI in Newton, Massachusetts has modified this tastefully to be the Jeep of your dreams. So the first thing you notice is the lift kit. It has a Ready Lift 2-inch lift, and then these wheels. They're 20-inch Fuel Off-Road Rebel 5s, and there's 5 of them, so we get one on each corner, and then one on the back, which has a spacer so it fits properly. They're wrapped in 35-inch Firestone all-terrain rubber, and to make sure that you're getting the correct speed and odometer readings, it has been calibrated appropriately, so you're not going to be thrown off by the big tires. To make sure you don't get caught up in the trails at night if you get real stuck, we've got a 50-inch light bar on the roof, so you're going to be able to see just fine. And then, just for the sake of aesthetics, we've got a stubby little antenna that brings it down a bit, so you're not careening through all the trees with the big floppy one. And if you win the Jeep, you'll end up being sort of a brand ambassador because we've got the Larz Anderson livery here with the colors and stripes. Do with that what you may. But, of course, right now, it's a little chilly out. We've got the hardtop on, and the best thing about having a Jeep is being able to make your Wrangler into a convertible. So there is a soft top in there as well, but the best thing about this is just taking it all off and enjoying it. Now, despite being the 2-door, there's still actually plenty of room back here. And this is one of the things that really drives me nuts about like the 2-door Defender and Bronco is there's not a ton of space in the back. But when you fold this rear seat up, you do have a lot of space right now. I know it's a little cluttered. I've got the soft top back here, but that's fine. You can definitely imagine yourself with a few of your buddies and the roof off on the beach. But let's take a look under the hood. We've got these great little buckles. And there you've got it. You've got a 2-liter 4-cylinder that does the job just fine. Now, I do appreciate that this is an automatic transmission because when you're off-roading, it's definitely easier to feed that throttle rather than burning out that clutch on some funky trails. Inside, it's business as usual for the Jeep people. Pretty simple stuff, and that's what you want because you're gonna get this thing filthy. I love that you can take the doors off. It always is a good time to have that full Jeep experience. To start the new Wrangler, foot on the brake, we've got our engine start stop button, but first, take a look at the display. You get the old Willis Jeep and then transforming into the new style. Analog gauges on the left and right for our tach and speedometer. We like that. We've got an infotainment center here, but we do have, despite touch buttons on the screen, we still have a scrolly volume knob. I like that. Same with your HVAC controls. Very important to me to have that kind of feature because it's a nightmare when you're trying to find the volume button in a touchscreen display. You want to be able to just cut it when you want. Down here, you'll notice, while film cures, please do not roll down the windows. Yes, this has been tinted on these side glass, and they are legal. So not to worry if you win this Jeep. You're not going to need a guy to get it inspected. Into drive, and then we've got the privilege of driving across the Larz Anderson lawn. Please don't do this without permission or on a lawn day, but I think because we've got the Larz Anderson badges on the side, we're going to be just fine. Maybe this will make you, an honorary member of every meet if you keep the Larz Anderson cladding on the side. Now, you can notice the roads around here can get pretty rough, and that's the beauty of having a lifted Jeep on 35-inch tires, because while a Lamborghini might not have a great time crawling up this hill, might need that nose lift, this Jeep can deal with pretty much any war zone you throw it at. Let's see how this 2-liter gets up and goes. So make no mistake, yes, you're getting the smaller engine, this 4-cylinder turbo, but you're not missing out too much because this thing actually really cranks. I'm pretty surprised, actually. 270 horsepower, and I'm sorry, I got some stuff rattling around in the back. It actually goes. This is not underpowered. I was kind of anticipating this to be sort of a little bit of a sluggish dog, but I am pleasantly surprised. And I've got to say, I really do appreciate this 8-speed automatic. It's doing the job just fine. It's shifting quickly, and it's taking away some of that work that I would normally have to do in a Wrangler just to keep it in the power band. The turning radius on this thing is actually insane. You get the idea that you do need something like this just to survive these roads. I mean, I think I would have to be using my wheel and tire package in my Honda if I was driving these roads every day, because I'd probably be cracking wheels and blowing tires at least once a week. I mean, this is insane. But when you've got 35-inch all-terrain tires and a 2-inch lift, I don't think you're going to have any trouble. Look, we can get up on the sidewalk, give this dude all the room in the world. Also, I would like to drive that. But how does this thing handle? I mean, honestly, usually you think you're going to put big tires on a thing like this and it's going to become an absolute nightmare. Frankly, this is nice. This is actually handling really well. Now, you're going to get some road noise from your big all-terrain tires, as expected, but it's not a deal breaker. It's kind of part of the charm. If you were concerned that the smaller engine wasn't going to do the trick, which I genuinely had my reservations about, it will all be forgotten the moment you get into the pedal, because this actually takes off pretty quickly. Brakes still quite inspiring and confident despite our larger wheel and tire setup. So not all of you are going to have off-roading and beach houses at your disposal on a regular basis. If you won this, you may very well become a mall crawler. That's what they affectionately call those who have big off-roading things and, no ability to use them as they're intended. So let's go do a little mall crawling for a second. And I do want to show you one feature of these Wranglers that I am just always blown away by, and that is the turning radius. So watch this. We're going to just do a U-turn right here. I'm just going to go full lock to the left. It's like it's pivoting on this rear wheel practically. It's incredible. This turns like it's an airplane. And it's cute because it's so short. So it really does just do the job. It's pretty outrageous. Now, that's great if you do get stuck in a rough spot, but also if you did have something like this in the city, you can literally park and finagle your way in and out of any spot with this kind of capability. Oh no, is that a beaver? That's a huge beaver. Do not take that out of context. I don't know if you guys drove these back in the day, in the early 2000s or the 90s even. They were rough. I mean, 80 miles an hour in a Wrangler was usually like a frightening occurrence. It was not something that you particularly wanted to experience. But now, I mean, you can use this every day. You're gonna have to suffer through a little bit of wind noise because it's essentially a brick. And then you put a light bar on there and it's gonna make a little additional noise. But that's fine because it's fun, and you're not buying this for like some creature comfort. But the beauty now is that you can drive this distances. It gets reasonable fuel economy. Not certain what happens to that fuel economy with a 35-inch tire, but out of the box stock on its normal wheels and tires, it'll do 26 miles per gallon on the highway, which is admirable and respectable, frankly. Not to mention that when you did put a 35-inch tire on like an old Wrangler, you'd get the death wobble. It would be terrifying. I mean, driving 75, 80 miles an hour was not something you wanted to be doing regularly in these cars. It was just not pretty. But the fact that you can do that now and have the capability and joy of a Wrangler without the terror of dying in it, that's pretty choice. So good job, Jeep, for making usable Wranglers. And while a lot of this interior is fairly rugged and built to last, you still do have a nice supple leather steering wheel, good touch points. I like all the little Easter eggs, like here we've got the Willis Jeep on the shifter. And then when you start the car, you get the little Willis Jeep on the display. It's fun having a vehicle with heritage because Jeep really has committed to that over time. See, I would love to have had a Wrangler over the winter because my M3 and subsequently my Honda, they're fine automobiles, but New England roads get really brutal out here. In fact, we're coming up on the piece of pavement that destroyed a wheel and tire on a press car that I had, an Acura NSX. It was bright yellow, beautiful car, and yeah, I hit a pothole just in the middle of the road and destroyed the wheel and tire. I'm not saying that the NSX is a normal winter vehicle, but what I am saying is that when you have a car or a Jeep like this that's going to tackle the roads and always get you there without the concern of like, ooh, was I paying exactly the right attention at exactly the right moment? Could I avoid that pothole at the exact right time? You don't have to worry about it. You can pretty much go through anything in this. And the fact that these drive so nicely now, they're kind of like the poor man's G-Wagon. And if you get one of these, you get to do the Jeep wave as described in the Jeep manual. That's always fun. You get a little community. It's not a bad deal. Corvette people kind of do similar things. Miata people, they flap their little headlights. Jeep people wave. It's just the way of the world. It's the way it goes. And it's funny because I get in this and immediately I'm waving to other Jeeps. Like it's instinctive. And I don't drive Wranglers that often, but when I do it, I'm like acutely aware that it is the polite thing to do to wave to other Jeeps. I'm going to jump off the highway here, Route 9 Brookline, home of the Larz Anderson Auto Museum, in this 2021 Jeep Wrangler Sport 4x4 two-door, which you can win for $100. So buy your raffle ticket. It's going to go a long way to supporting the Larz Anderson Auto Museum. And a big thanks to the McGovern Auto Group at Boston Motorsports and AVI and Newton for putting this together. It's always nice to be driving something that's for a good cause. And the Larz Anderson Auto Museum, which is also the home of Boston Cars and Coffee, is an absolutely great cause. This is a place that you want to keep alive. This is, you put your money where your mouth is when you talk about keeping automotive history and passion alive. This is the place. And if you can support them and win yourself a Jeep Wrangler at the same time, that's a win-win. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't you forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. And I'll see you at Boston Cars and Coffee at the Larz Anderson Auto Museum. Pretty much eye level with this guy. Yeah, that 2-inch lift went a long way.